Sara Nasserzadeh. Comes from Iran, has lived in London, in New York, now in San Francisco, has worked all over the world, is a psychosexual therapist, a PhD in social psychology, and a cultural consultant for the UN. She basically works with the 5 main religions and their interaction with sexuality. But she also is one of the people I turn to particularly for her work in the Muslim world, or the Islamic world, more broadly speaking. I asked Sara to bring an even more informed global perspective, cultural perspective to our conversation. Please.
I'm not used to standing behind the podium.
You don't have to.
Yeah, I need...
You can walk.
Okay, beautiful. Thank you so much. Thank you. Hello, everyone. I know that this is after lunch. If you don't mind, just stand up. Also, this is good for your pelvic floor. As a sexologist, I should know that. Okay, so I want you to take a deep breath in. Release any masculine energy with a sound for me. Go. Now, another breathe in. Release any feminine energy out. Take a breath in. Release something in between out. Thank you very much for playing along. And just for your knowledge, always don't sit more than 20 minutes at a time. Just shift your pelvic floor. Not good for your sexuality. Okay. Can I have a thing, the clicker, please?
I'll click for you. Can we turn on the slides, please?
Thank you. So it's an honor to be here amongst all of you. I know that many of my clients or colleagues are watching in the middle of the night in other countries. So hello to all of you in your own languages. And Esther, thank you for bringing all of us together. So I have only 20 minutes to walk with you around the world. So indulge me. We'll see how far we go. Yes. Thank you. Go, go, go. Thank you. So I'm going to talk about expressions and experiences of masculinity around the world. We've heard from all of our esteemed colleagues this morning that really some of those, I was telling Terry that, you know, some of the words that came up, some of the sentences that they put, we really need to put every one of those sentences in one page and make it a textbook on its own. Because this is important, you know, we are at the cutting edge of making something happen for us and the rest of the world. The rest of the world is still watching us, despite, okay, the fact that what is happening somewhere, okay? So I just become a citizen, and citizenship for me is a privilege, so I don't want to lose it, so I'll just say it like that. Okay, so thank you. Some disclaimers. I trust that all of you are informed enough to take care of yourself. If I'm showing penises, we are talking about men, so I'm going to talk about them. I try to minimize the showing of genitalia, but I just come out of a research after six years doing genital practices around the world. So I couldn't not share those. They are so interesting. So some of them, I try to be discreet, but please take care of yourself if anything triggers you. The easiest way to do that is take a deep breath and induce a yawn. So I don't think you're bored. I'm secure enough. I'm fine. Okay? And then just to calm down your amygdala. Okay? That's really important for me to know. And if you need to leave the room to take care of yourself, please do that at any point. Thank you. So my practice, as Esther mentioned, I worked with different hats that I'm wearing with the UN, with different consulting that I do, and clients that I see. I worked inside 38 countries so far, and I'm counting. Who is counting me? I have actually a map with pins in my room. I'm just going to go around the world. So, and I had 4 practices, Tehran, London, New York, and California now. So many cultural nuances that I see even between like here and West Coast. And in West Coast, remember, I live in Silicon Valley, which is a very different bubble on its own. Very different, very different. Thank you. So this is a framework that I work with. Please feel free to, is it okay for them to have their phones on? Is it? Just for this. Okay, you can take any pictures that you want from my presentation. I'm not offended, and they're all well quoted if I use other people's illustrations. So this is masculinity wheel of context that I came up with based on all of these global experiences. What it does is it really grounds you from whatever orientation that you come from. It's really important that we go to the biology of it. When I first came to the United States, I was actually amazed that if a man comes to you with erectile dysfunction, they don't ask them about their hormonal levels. They don't ask them about their health, because if we touch them, we're going to get sued because we're not medically trained. First of all, why weren't you medically trained? Because you're touching somebody's sexuality. Second of all, and we can talk about the trainings that are available. I can introduce you to colleagues who do those trainings. This is important to look at sexuality in a holistic way. So the biological level, the cultural language that we use. Like, for example, in the morning we mentioned, Esther, actually, you mentioned that sexuality was introduced as a male model, right? So many of my clients come to me and say that I don't have orgasms. We don't have orgasms, people. We experience orgasm. Neurophysiologically, neuroscientifically, we know that. We don't have that. We have that, okay? So we experience that. So as professionals, it's our responsibility to correct our own language, because we are giving them words to use in their lives, right? So that's that. The rituals, the coming of age practices around the world. We need to ask our clients, and I'll walk you through them through the rest of the presentation. The other one is, I'm 42, so I cannot read that from here. So it's the immigration, geographical location of our clients. Who are they dating? Who is it that they're abiding by? Is it the country of origin? How much of the country of origin and the culture they're carrying with them, where it sits, how it defines them. And then the other one is laws in support or in opposition of the entitlement. These are the things that we need to really tease out of our clients. And then the economy, money matters, who owns what, and who has the power, therefore. Tools and technology that they are exposed to, they are aroused by, they are moved by, they are exposed to. And the other one is the relationship orientation. My good friend Inge Hansen at Stanford actually has something coming out very soon that talks about sexual orientation as well as relationship orientation. We are not binary anymore. We are not heterosexual anymore, right? So this is really important for us to understand what is the relationship orientation of our clients as well. Thank you. So just to ground us for today, and this is the framework that I work with. You can go actually all the way. Thank you. Culture is what we are. Let's leave it at that. There are several explanations, right? Norms are what we are expected to be, and we get punished or rewarded if we abide by those or not. Okay, have that on the back of your mind. Can we please go? Okay, now, look at these beautiful pictures here. So in some cultures, like this Tamale man, so for example, in the middle, the man who is literally wearing his masculinity on his face. So only by the face in several cultures, when you walk into a community, you can actually see that, okay, so this is a full-length beard, this is a stubble. Is it the good pronunciation, the stubble? Yeah, so there's actually a study, there was a study in Australia, Queensland, that 8,000 plus women were studied, and they said men with stubble are actually sexy, good for short-term relationships, and good in bed. And then if you have full blonde beard, it meant that you're really good for long-term partnership. And that was actually, if you Google it, it will pop up. That's what our clients are exposed to. Okay, so they come to you with this idea of my jaw should look like this. And then, so it's like really interesting what our clients are exposed to. And then, so what the whole thing to me, the whole confusion, if I have to explain everything in one word, is the bewilderment and confusion of the male clients, and female for that matter. Because the shifts that we have are in norms and rewards that we are receiving. There used to be, I'm alone, I'm a leader, I'm the leader of the wolf pack, you know? Remember those terminologies? And then, so all of those, now we're talking about collaboration. Actually, Apple invited me the other day. I'm talking about collaboration in the teams, how we connect, how we, greet each other in a cross-cultural team. And empathy, the word that is used and overused and abused everywhere these days. And then the other one is emotional intelligence. There used to be a time, I don't know if you're familiar with Mensa. Mensa brings people who are higher than 130 IQ level. And then even if you look at this is a global organization, if you look at their bulletins over the time, their conferences, the speakers that they have these days, is like, okay, how to create a community, how to make, so they are even moving towards that. So this is really interesting. And also, obviously, the gender equality. By the way, I'm sorry that I'm walking like this. This is so not Iranian. Sorry. We don't turn our backs to people. One of the things that I would like to work with always with my clients, remember how we did predisposing factors, precipitating factor, like all of that? So one of the things that stand out to me is actually a little bit deeper than that, because I feel like we all have blueprints. Blueprints are what? The initial, thank you. The initial stage, the initial kind of idea of a design, right, that goes into it. It might come to reality or not. So I work with blueprints of the clients, reality, and ideal. Thank you. The blueprint would be, how was masculinity perceived and practiced? So if you were growing up like Justin, in a community, in a community feeling, and then emotionally literate feeling, emotionally intelligent context, or you actually grew up with stiff upper lip, and you don't show emotion, man up, and all that thing that we heard. And I had clients, husbands, after several years, they stopped having sex with their wives. And then I asked them why. They said, well, when I touch her now, it feels different. This is all after, this whole conversation, especially in Northern America. This particular client was from Bangladesh, and then he said, I fought so hard not to belong to that culture that sees women as commodity, that sees, I'm not talking about all Bangladeshis, obviously, but this is within his community, his perception of that culture. And now I feel like it's all coming back to me. So it's not actually him, it's the blueprint shining, right, coming through. The other one is, we talk a lot about the desire as why women lose their desire. We have physiological reasons, neurological reasons, hormonal reasons, sociocultural reasons. I have one single question I ask women these days. When they come to me and say that, once upon a time I was very attracted to my husband, now I really don't want to sleep with him. So I ask her, do you still respect him? Do you admire him? And they're like, no, why? And I say, look, let's go back to your blueprint. If you grew up with respecting men, right, that's in your blueprint. Men should be taller, a bit more earning, more respectable, looking up to them. And now you're in an egalitarian kind of situation, dynamic. You can't handle it. You have to first do your own work. I love the work of our friend Sue Johnston, EFT. Sue talks about get into the relationship and do the dance. And I always joke, I say, look, especially at my age, you have to do the stretches first, then get to the dance floor. So that's the dance. That's the stretch that I'm talking about, the blueprint of the client. Thank you. And one of the questions I ask my male clients, male-identified clients, or whoever that has penises, or vulvas for that matter, I ask them, growing up, what did you call your genitalia? This is from my research around the world. Can you imagine a person who calls their willy, or their penis, whatever they're calling it, it's a golden sword, will have a very, very different connection with their penises than somebody who grew up calling their penises sausage. Okay, or tower for that matter, or pipe. So, these are simple questions that if we are not informed therapists, we don't ask, right? And I learned it over time, by the way. I'm not claiming to be it. But, you learn from your clients, right? Actually, one of my mentors, great mentors, Dan Hadlock, says, why do we charge clients? We should pay them. They let us work on our own unfinished businesses. So this is actually from the research, and these pictures are, if you want the resources, I can share with you. This is actually incredible. In every culture, almost every culture, we have a coming of age story, right? For women, we do in some cultures, which is really helpful to look at themselves, their hygiene, I was told as an Iranian woman, before even getting my period, I was told what to call my genitalia with respect. Well, and then later on, I realized that not every family is like that, which was a shock to me. And then the second one is you get hygiene education, religious education in Islam, in Hinduism, in Judaism, in almost all the 5 religions, main religions in the world, you do get that. That's one. And for example, in Papua New Guinea, we found that it's actually really interesting that a young man has to have oral sex with an older member of the community. They're secluded, and they do that. If you swallow, then it means that you're ready to become a man. So that's one way, right? And then there's a thread. I'll walk you through it. In northern Kenya, younger boys get a donkey and have sex with it because it helps them to lengthen their penis, strengthen their penis for their future partners. So these are the beliefs that many men grow up with. Or for example, the picture to the far left, if you can see, they're actually sewing something under the person's skin. And it's all about stories about courage, enduring pain, becoming sexualized, and acknowledging that the penis has feelings that needs to be met. Okay? So if you go across the cultures, you will see that these sort of stories all come together, or this sort of like rituals, right? Thank you. And then the reality of lives of our clients. Many of the clients that I see, especially in the corporate environment, also in my office, but in corporate mostly, they don't even know how to greet each other. Okay, do we do this? By the way, I learned that when I came to this country. We didn't do that. We kiss everyone in Iran. So it's like do I kiss you on the cheek? And I hate it when I land in the middle. It's like I don't know what to do, right? So it's like really interesting. So how do you even greet each other? Like, do you rub noses? Do you like for example, do you put your son in a situation that, they are very like boxers and taekwondo, and then you take your daughter to ballet? So, all of these realities that we are dealing with, the paradox of being, really, right? We are confused. And thank you. Some of the men grow up to accept and abide by that role of aggressor, right? Some others actually get beaten up. They shut up, they don't say anything, because that's a part of their masculinity, because you have to endure pain. Like from where I'm coming from, a man never raises a hand on a woman because the woman's supposed to be the weaker one, right? So you're less masculine if you do that to a woman. Yes. And by the way, just a quick, gentle reminder that this is not only happening in heterosexual relationships, so we need to make sure and acknowledge all the people that, choose to have other relationship orientations as well, and sexual. The other shocking thing for me was this pink business and blue business. This means nothing. That person is from Saudi Arabia, okay, in the middle. Pink is celebrated by everybody. So this is a marketing thing in the West. I was really shocked when I first learned about it. So please, when you're sitting with your clients, ask them. I know that we are an international group. I'm preaching to the choir, but it's really important. Thank you. And after movement of Me Too, I think it's our responsibility. We had the campaign. It was beautiful, like the initiation of women liberation movement and feminism. It's our job to move it to a beautiful movement, like the feminist way of thinking, like the feminist art, all of that. So it's our job to move Me Too from campaign to movement. And we have solutions for that. As Tarana Burke, the founder of Me Too, also mentioned, if you only make statements, we get nowhere. Thank you. Go, 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 go. Okay, go, 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 go. One of the things I love to mention here, actually, is the ideal in these 20 seconds, is that, my clients come to me and say that I'm emotionally literate now, the man in my practice, I'm emotionally literate now, and now they flood their partner with everything. So now you have to educate them about relationship literacy a little bit. Okay, we don't do that. Keep that to yourself. And yes, wonderful. And this is my suggestion as to how to move forward. This is the last slide. Thank you. So yes, thank you. We have to acknowledge our own trigger points. We have work to do. We were as shocked as our clients. We have work to do. And then that most male-identified clients are genuinely confused, to Terry's word. They're good people, they're just confused. You can go actually faster. And appreciate our role change from facilitators of change to giving guidance, advice. It's not okay if I sit there just ambivalent and don't know, okay, let me just process this with you. That's just the teeny-toony part of it right now. We really need to be mentors to them. And then from local, moving from local to global. Again, this group, I'm pretty sure we are as global as it gets right now. And then it's not only about men. My transgender clients were pretty upset after Me Too campaign because they were chucked away as if anybody without a vulva had no voice. So it's really important for us to be inclusive as a community, reassure the paralyzed clients in this atmosphere that there is a way forward. We are here. We will hold your hand. We will help you. It's okay. We'll get through this. Some of my male clients, and also I heard from another colleague that they don't leave the house these days. They're just waiting for the fire to go away so they can come out of the house again. They are paralyzed. They don't know what to do with themselves. And then mend by giving them resources, psychoeducation. It's really, really important. And my hope, please join me by putting your hands on your hearts. Let's pray together for the equity in personal, professional, and social life for everybody. And rights to sexual well-being for all, including bodily integrity and sexual and gender autonomy for everyone. And wishing for the world in which we can be interdependent in our intimate relationship without fear of neglect, abuse, and being mistreated or abandoned. Thank you.